So now we'll move on to our next topic, that is Journey Builder. Okay, before moving on to Journey Builder, let's understand the differences between the automation and journey first. So as we already have understood, like Automation Studio is a activity centric tool, right? So what we are doing in Automation Studio is we are basically focused on activity. Let's say we want to send an email, we want to import the data, right? So we are more focused on the activity, that what task or what activity needs to be done. Whereas in journey, we will see that it is not actually focused or centric towards the activity, but it is focused on the contact. So contact means your customer only. So based on the contact's behavior, the task will be decided. Okay. So if somebody, let's say, has opened the email, then we want to send a different email to them. If somebody has not opened the email, then we don't want to send an email, right? So here, based on the contacts, engagement, and their behavior, we are deciding that which activity we want to do. Okay. Similarly, like it will be more customized for each and every contact in the journey. Whereas in automation, we are not concerned about the customer. We are concerned about the task that what needs to be done, right? The other difference is in automation, we have seen the activities like data extract, file transfer, import, filter, SQL query verification, right? So these are the activities that are not there in the journey builder. Whereas in journey builder also, we have some activities that are not there in automation. And you will find some of the activities that are common across both the tools, like email message activity, right? So that is common in automation and journey as well. Now here are a few activities which are not there. Automation Studio basically you would be using, and like it would be a good option when we have high or large volume of data. So let's say we want to send an email to 10 lakh customers, right? In that case, Automation Studio would be the good option, because here we are not concerned about each and every customer, and we are just sending in a bulk email to 10 lakh customers. Whereas in Journey Builder, like would be, I mean, going through each and every customer, and then we will be sending the email to them, right? So Journey is used for the one-to-one interaction or the real-time interaction. In that case, we can use the Journey Builder, because in Journey, what happens? One contact will enter, and then the contact will go through the series of activities. Another contact will enter, the another contact will go through a series of activities. So it is used for one-to-one interaction and not for a large volume of data or for the bulk message sending. Now, next difference is in Automation Studio, we cannot directly retrieve or push the data into Salesforce. Okay, let's say we have the data in Salesforce and we want to retrieve the data from the Salesforce directly in automation. So that is not possible, right? What we can do, we can get the data from Salesforce into synchronized data extensions, and then we can use the data extension in our automation, right? But we cannot directly pull the data from Salesforce into Automation Studio. Whereas in Journey Builder, we can do that. So in Journey Builder, we can use the uh, one event to pull the data directly from the Salesforce, and we can use that data in our journey. Okay. So these are the main differences between the automation and journey that might be asked in the interview. Okay. So now we'll move on to our journey builder, that what it has. So we come to the journey builder. Here you can see 4 different tabs: journeys, events, history, and templates. In journeys, we can see the journey dashboard. So when you click on this, it is your journey dashboard. On the left hand side, we can see all the journeys and different folders, like all journeys, transactional, and different type of journeys that we'll be talking about. And on the right hand side, we have the list of journeys which are there in a particular folder, right? So if you go to transactional, so we will be able to see all the journeys which are of transactional type. Along with that, we can see the journey status, performance, and last modified. We can also search the journey, or we can also filter the journey using the filter option. And using the create new journey button, we can create a new journey. Okay. Now let's go ahead and create a new journey. So when we create a new journey, we have three different options: multi-step journey, single send journey, and transactional send journey. Multi-step journey, as the name says, it is going to have the multiple steps. In single send journey, like it will be only used for one time send. Okay. So one time send means, let's say we can only use this journey to send the email to customers only one time. Now we cannot reuse this journey to send the email again to same set of customers. Okay, so it is like fire and forget. So once you use this journey, that is done. You cannot reuse this journey. Here we have two options. We can either use the email option or the SMS option with the single send journey. So let's say if we'll go ahead with the email and click on create button, then what will happen? Here we have the data extension that we can choose as a target audience, that will be providing the data to the journey. And then here we have the email. So the data will come from the data extension where the email will be sent, and that's it, right? So, I mean, we will understand everything in detail in the multi-step journey. Now to the use cases. So let's say one-time email that we want to send as a promotional offer, okay? Or if you want to send a one-time email such as an event reminder. So whenever we are sending a one-time email, then we can use the single send journey. Okay. So the configuration part, everything we will understand in our multi-step journey. Or we can also use a single send journey with the SMS option as well. Transactional send journey means, so whenever any transaction occurs, we want to trigger this journey. So a transaction could be, let's say if somebody is requesting for the password reset, right? Or if somebody makes a payment or somebody requests for the OTP, right? So any kind of transaction which is happening, you want to basically trigger an email. So you can use this one. So we'll click on create button, and here so for this, we would need the API event. So in the upcoming classes, we will learn about the API, and then we'll talk about this transactional journey. Use cases are, so let's say if somebody makes a purchase, if somebody, sends a request for the password reset, or somebody, update their status. So any kind of action is being made by the user, or any transaction is happening. In that case, what will happen, that action or the transaction will be received by this journey, and then the email will be sent. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the multi-step journey. So in multi-step journey, we have basically two things. One is the entry sources and then the activities. Okay. Now entry sources is what? From where the data is going to come into journey. And then we have the activities, like what all things that the contact or the customer who is entering into the journey will be going through in the journey, right? So here we have multiple sources from where the data can come into marketing cloud journey. So we have API event, cloud pages, data extension, event, and these things, right? So let's understand these ones one by one, that how we can push the data from these sources into marketing cloud journey. Now, API event we'll talk about when we'll discuss about the API. Let's start with data extension. So we have to drag and drop the data extension icon and then click on data extension to configure this. So here we can select any data extension from where we want to pull the data. Now we'll select the data extension that we had created. This is the one, and click on summary, click on done. Okay, so when we select the data extension, here also we have this filter option. Let's say we have two records, right, in our data extension, and we want to apply a filter that I don't want all the records from this data extension to enter into the journey, but only the filtered contacts, only the filtered or selected contacts to come into the journey. Now you can apply a filter. Let's say the email address should not be equals to null, or maybe city should not be equals to blank, right? So whatever the criteria that you want to apply, you can apply here. So here we have something called contact data that I'll be talking about in a while, like what is contact data. So for now, you just have to keep this in mind that using the filter criteria, we can basically apply a filter, and only the filtered contacts will enter into the journey. So let's click on done button. So we have configured the data extension. What does it mean? That the data into this marketing cloud journey will come from this data extension. Next thing that we need to do is that we need to have a schedule. Now, if you remember in automation, when we choose this schedule option, what happens is that we tell the system that when the automation should run, okay, and what should be the frequency. Do we need to run only one time, or we need to run on a recurring basis, right? So we have to configure the schedule. Similarly, in journey also, like we have to tell the system that how frequently we want to run this journey, and when the journey will start, when the journey will stop, and things like that. So to click on the schedule button, and here we have three options. So run once means the journey will run only one time and will, will stop and will never run again, right? Recurring means that it will keep running again and again at a fixed frequency and at the customized interval. So if I'll choose this and click on select, and we have to click on set schedule. So here we have to schedule the same way. Let's say I want this a journey to start running on from 16th of February at, let's say, 12 a.m. in this time zone. And what would be the frequency? Let's say I want to run this journey every day, every one day, and I don't want this journey to end ever. Okay, so it will never end. It will run daily, and it will start at 16th of Feb, 12 a.m. in this time zone. Now, next we have is contact evaluation. Now, contact evaluation is, let's say you have two records right now in this data extension, right? So at the first iteration, whenever the journey will run for the first time, these two records will enter into the journey, right? Now, next time, what we have set up is that it will run on a daily basis. So next day, when the journey will run, and let's say between today, between the first iteration of the journey and the next iteration of the journey, let's say there are, more records added to the data extension. So do we want all the records from this data extension to enter into the journey again, or we only want the records which are newly added? So here it is saying that on the next iteration, how do you want to evaluate the contacts? Okay, so let's say on 16th of Feb, the journey will run, and these two contacts or these two records will enter into journey. Now on 17th of Feb, when when the journey will run again, and let's say at that point of time, we have total four records. So if I configure this option, then what will happen that only two records which are newly added, only these two records will enter into journey. If you'll choose this option, then all the four records will enter into journey. Okay. So here we can choose, like on the first run, do we want all the records, like two records, to enter the journey, or only new records after journey activation? So when we activate the journey, after that, whatever the record is added, those will enter into the journey. So that is applicable only on the first run. But from the next run onwards, do we want all the records to enter into journey, or only new records? Okay, so that's what we have to decide and configure as part of contact evaluation. Now we'll click on summary and click on done. Yeah. So this is how we can choose the data extension and we can schedule the journey if you want to run this on a recurring schedule. Now we have one more type, that is automation. Now, what is the meaning of this? So let's understand one use case. So, okay, so let's understand this. Let's say we have a requirement in which we want to import the data first from, let's say, FTP server, and then we want to send an email. But we also want to understand the customer behavior, whether they are opening the email or not, whether they are clicking on the link in the email or not. And based on that, we have to send the next email. Now, some part of it can only be achieved through automation, and some part of it can only be achieved through journey. Okay, so in that case, what we'll have to do, we have to use both automation and journey. But what we have to do, we have to basically establish the link between these two, because I mean, one way what we can do is, let's say we are running our automation at 9 o'clock, and we are assuming that the automation will complete its activities by, let's say, 9:30. Okay, and then we will run the journey. So that is the assumption that we are making, and we will schedule the automation at 9 o'clock, let's say, on a daily basis, and we will schedule the journey at 9:30. But it could happen that at some point of time, the journey, let's say the automation is taking more time, right? Let's say till 9:40, and we are running the journey at 9:30. So before the automation has completed its task. So, but that is not the correct implementation. So this way we will run into the issues. So what we have to do is that we have to establish the link between these two. So as soon as the automation completes its work, the automation itself has to kick off the journey, right? So this way, I mean, we can basically link our automation and journey. So does that happen? Let me just show you. So right now we don't have this automation option enabled. The reason being is, if you understood the requirement clearly, we only have to link our automation and journey because there's some dependency, right? Because the journey is dependent on the data which is coming from the automation. Right now, the data extension that we have selected, the data in this data extension is not coming from any of the automation. So that is why the system is able to detect that and says that, okay, the data extension that you have chosen, it is not part of any of the automation. So it does not make any sense for you to link this journey with any automation. Okay, so only when the journey is dependent on other automation, in that case there has to be this data extension has to be a part of some automation. So what we can do, we have to create one automation, right? So we will choose that data extension. So let me just delete this one. So we'll expand this and then we will select the data extension. Let's say this one, right? And click on summary and click on done. We'll click on the schedule option. And now we have the automation option enabled. The reason is that this is the data extension in which the data is coming from one automation, right? So we'll click on this and click on select button. Now I'll click on set schedule. So it will show me the list of all automations from where the data is coming into this data extension. So we can select one automation and click on summary. Okay, so this is the same automation where we have used this data extension, right? And then the contact evaluation. So let's say we will say evaluate all records. click on summary, click on done now. Okay. Now what will happen? The moment the automation will finish its work, the journey can be kicked off. Okay. So how does that happen? Let me show you in action. So for that, we will come to the automation first. So let's click on this one. Okay, so we have how many steps? We have 6 different steps, right? In this automation. Now what will happen? Let me activate the journey first. So something will happen in the automation. So in order to activate the journey, we have to have at least one activity in the journey. So I'm just dragging and dropping this activity because this doesn't require any further configuration. So just for the simplicity, I'm configuring this in a way, and we have to make some journey settings. Click on done and we'll click on activate, Okay. So the activation process and everything we will understand in a while. But for now, what we have done is that we have this journey, and this journey we have activated. Okay. This journey we have activated, and here we are using this data extension, which means the data extension, like the data into this journey will come from this data extension. But when this journey will run based on the automation. So the automation that we have linked, this automation will kick off the journey or will start the journey. Now, when we'll come to the automation, what we had seen is that it has only 6 steps. Now, let me refresh the automation. Let me open this again. I'll come to workflow. And here I can see automatically the system has added one more step, that is step number 7, and it has got one activity, right? Now, what will happen? This activity is responsible to run the journey. Now, how system got to know? Because we have this automation name over here, right? So whenever we activate the journey, automatically system will go to this automation and will add this activity. Now, when we will run this activity, it will basically kick off the journey, and the records from this data extension will start entering into this journey. Here we have something called view event results. When we click on this, we can see that how many contacts were evaluated for the like journey uh, entry, and how many contacts were accepted. Okay, so first of all, the contacts will be evaluated. If they pass the filter criteria, they will be accepted. But right now we don't have any filter criteria, so all the contacts who will be evaluated will eventually make it to the journey and will be accepted. So right now you can see 0, 0. Why? Because so far we have not run the journey, right? We have activated the journey, but we have not started the journey, or you can say we have not kicked off the journey. So how we can do that? So we just have to, we can, right now it is the manual we are seeing. So we can click on run once button and we can choose this activity to run. But imagine, let's say if this automation is scheduled on a daily basis, so automatically this will run, right? So we'll select this and click on run button and then click on run now. So it's running. We click on refresh button. Okay, so it is completed. Now we'll come to journey. Click on. So it might take few seconds for the context to enter into journey. So we'll refresh this. Okay, so as we can see in the view event results as well. So here we can see one contact entered into the journey and one contact was accepted. And in the journey canvas also we can see the contact basically came to this random split activity, and then it came to this wait activity. Okay. Now this number is also hyperlinked. So when you will click on this, you will be redirected to the history tab. Now in the history tab, you will be able to see like what was the contact key. So history basically shows the entire path that was taken by this contact inside the journey. So inside this journey, this contact basically entered, like attempted, and then completed this random split activity. It was like, it met the criteria and all the different actions that was taken by this contact. So it shows you the complete history of this contact here in the history tab. Okay, so we'll understand more about the history in upcoming sessions. Okay, so what we will do, we'll stop this version and we will create a new version. Okay, so we have seen how we can use the data extension, and we also have seen the scheduled options, right? Next one, we are going to take a look at is cloud pages. So if you remember in the cloud pages, we have seen this smart capture form, right? Now using this smart capture form, what we can do, we can basically submit the data and store that into a data extension. Now, along with that, the submitted data can also be pushed to the journey. So how we can do that? So let's go to that cloud page that we had created. Here, this is the smart capture form that we had created. Let it load. So when we added the smart capture form, here we can see one option that is using journey builder. Okay. Right now, when I go to journey, I'm not able to see the smart capture form that we had created because this option is unchecked. So when I check this checkbox and I, enable this option and click on done editing and save the changes and publish it, then I'll be able to see my smart capture form inside here journey to select the smart capture form um, and use it as an entry source. Okay, so I have enabled that one. Now I'll click on done editing and click on publish button. So when we publish, it will automatically save the changes and publish the changes immediately. So I'll click on publish button now. Okay, I'll open this one. Now what we are going to do is that inside the journey, let me refresh this so that we can see the smart capture form that we have just edited. Okay, let me search something like registration. Okay, so this is the one that we have just edited inside the SFMC demo 010 and registration form new, right? So I'm going to select this and click on next. And then we have the summary, click on done button. Okay. Now what will happen that when I activate the journey, anybody who's going to submit the form, it is going to enter into the data extension, and along with that, the record will also enter into the journey. So let's see that. So I'll just save the changes in the journey and click on activate button. Okay, so now let's submit it. Let's say name is journey. Journey builder demo. Okay. Any random mobile number. Say test to the rate. I'm gonna keep this blank and let's say customer ID is um, let's say J002. Okay, so this is the customer ID. I'm going to submit this. So we have got the confirmation message. Thank you for your submission. And these details must have been saved in the data extension. Now I'll come to journey to check whether we have got this record here or not. So far we have not got, so we'll refresh the journey to check the latest status. It has not entered so far. Let's check the data extension whether or not we have got the record over there. Mhm. So let's go to the data extension. This is the one. So I think here in the data extension we have got the record, but I think Yeah, this is the one. So let's check, let's refresh the journey again. Why it hasn't entered yet? Sometimes it takes more time than expected. Let's do one thing. We'll submit it again and see if it enters this time. Test3 at example.com. Customer test 003. Okay. And click on submit button. Come to the journey. Yeah, now this time we have one record. Okay, so we have got one record now. Let's see which one is that. So it is a new record that we had inserted, but the previous record did not enter into the journey. This one. Yeah, maybe it couldn't recognize the earlier record. Okay. So this is how we can use the cloud page as a entry source um, to capture the information directly from the customer, and then we can have this in the journey, right? Okay, so now let me stop this version as well. And let's get a new version. So actually I'm creating the new versions because we cannot make the changes in the same version. That is, I have to create the new version. So now let me delete this. Okay, next one we're gonna talk about the event. So event is basically any action or any transaction. So that is your event. Now here we have two different types of event. First one is the contact data and another one is the date-based event. Now contact data is basically not used anymore and it is scheduled for retirement as well. Earlier we used to use this, but now we have the replacement for this one. So we use data extension as a replacement for this contact data entry event. Okay, but if you remember in the automation studio, we have one activity that is called fire event activity, right? So if we are using contact data entry source, then what we can do, we can basically use the fire event activity in automation studio to kick off the journey. Okay, so we will choose this one to show you the application of the fire event activity. So I'll click on this one, click on next. Now here we have to choose a data extension. So we can choose a data extension, let's say the same one that we had created. So this one, and we will click on next button. Now using this one, we can filter the contacts, but for now we don't want to filter anything. And here we have two options. Either we can use a recurring schedule. That's something we already have seen that in case of data extension also we can do it, right? And this option is applicable that if you want to use the automation studios fire event activity, right? But in the data extension entry source, we have seen that we can link it using a different mechanism. Like we already have this automation inbuilt feature. So that is why we don't use this anymore. But just to show you the working of it, we will understand this as well. So I'll click on the next button and click on done. Okay. Now what will happen? So let me activate this first. Now we'll go to our automation studio and we'll configure the fire event activity. And what will happen that it will basically kick off all the journeys where this data extension is configured. So I'll click on return to journey now. And now we'll go to the automation studio. So let's say we have, three different journeys where this data extension is configured, where this contact entry event is configured with the same data extension. And then that automation will kick off all these journeys. So I'll pick the same journey, sorry, the same automation. And I'll drag and drop this fire event activity over here. So here the configuration is very simple. You have to click on choose button and you have to select the same data extension which has been selected inside the contact entry event, right? Inside your journey. So we'll select the same data extension and click on done. Okay. So it is configured. We'll save the changes in the automation. And then what I'll do, I'll click on run once. And then we'll choose this activity to run and click on run button. Okay. And click on run now. So what will happen in this fire event activity will fire the event, right? So the event that we have configured over here, that contact entry event, so it will be fired through this activity. So it is already completed. It is done. We can come over here to see whether we have got the records or not. So it will basically insert the records. So it might take some time. So this one is basically not that much efficient. So that is why we don't use this anymore. We use the data extension one. Okay. How come we have 4 contacts? Okay, we had inserted one more submission. So in the data extension, we have total 4 records, right? In this data extension. So we can see all the 4 contacts have entered into the journey. Okay. So all these 4 contacts. So this is how you can use your contact entry. And you can kick off the records from the automation. I mean, you can kick off the journey using automation fire event activity as well. Okay. So let me stop this version as well. Let me stop this version. So I'll create a new version now. I'll delete this. And in the event entry source, we have another option that is date-based event. So I'll click on the next button. Now, date-based event is basically whenever any date occurs, let's say the use cases are, let's say, birthday reminder emails, anniversary reminder email site, or any event reminder email. So let's say we want to build this birthday reminder email. So we have a list of customers and we have their date of birth as well, right? So whenever the date will occur, let's say if somebody's birthday, let's say it's on 18th of July, or maybe let's say 5th of February, right? So whenever that date will occur, 5th of February, 18th of July, then automatically that contact will enter into the journey, and then we can send the email to that customer.